So I get a lot of questions asking exactly what is animism? And so this video, I'm going to put together what I believe animism is, what others that I respect believe that animism is. And because animists don't have a book, we don't have a central authority to refer to. We don't have like specific rules and regulations. So yeah, I could see why a lot of people ask questions. So I'm going to give there's so much to it, but I'm going to lay out what I think people are asking for, kind of what it's really all about. So animists pretty much believe that our reality and the universe has always existed. It's eternal. It's a great mystery. And that we have come into existence and everything has come into existence organically. And it has just happened. And there's an honoring of the great mystery and of how it all came about. I mean, you're never going to figure it out. Trust me. I tried years ago when I went through my shamanic initiation of trying to figure all this out, and you never will. So you have to let that go at some point and surrender and just honor the mystery of it all. Another one of an animist belief is that we co-create with everything around us. We co-create with other human beings, with animals, with nature and all the minerals and the elements. And we also co-create with unseen beings and unseen realms that are among us. Even if you're not able to see it, the belief system is that it exists. So I am able to see these other dimensions and realms, and so I know they exist. And it's not something I question. And I do interact with these beings and these other worlds, the unseen world. So that is a big part of animist belief system. We believe that everything has a consciousness. The air, the planets, the trees, the rocks, everything has a consciousness. I have experienced, whether it was a past life or not, I have experienced being, and I've mentioned this before, I was some type of boulder or large rock that had a form to it. I have experienced being a fox. I've experienced being a tree. So I do believe that we work ourselves up to being human. We have to experience all the elements and other creatures and animals. We've probably been insects and everything, and we work our way up. So I know everything has consciousness, and the animals and the blades of grass or whatever eventually will be our future generation of children or any coming up. So there's a great respect for the world around us. In animism, there's no supreme monotheistic singular creator. Everything came into existence as one at once, and yeah, there's no overruling monotheistic belief system at all. It's in total contradiction with organized, the Abrahamic organized religion. Total contradiction with that. There are beings that are more powerful than others, and I've experienced some of them, but they don't require like worship or anything like that. They require respect, and they're very powerful. And I think it's, we get there eventually too. We'll evolve and become more powerful. And so we respect these other powerful beings. And in past times, I'm sure they were revered as gods and goddesses. And I think certain gods and goddesses come, worshipped at different times depending on what humanity needed at the time. And every culture had their own gods and goddesses. And I think it has a tie to the land. I think certain beings and energies guard certain areas of lands. And so shamans would interface with these beings and probably tell the others what they look like and what their instructions were, because they were guardians of the land. So I think that's how all the gods and goddesses came into being, was through shamans with their travels to the unseen, and interacting with these beings would communicate to the community and the tribes what was happening and instruct them on what to do. In Animism, there's no commandments. We are free to choose what we want to do, and we know by our actions how our life will turn out. So if we act a certain way or make certain choices, we know that our life will go certain directions. And so if you want to chalk it up to free will, instead of being victims, you make different choices. And you take the world around you into consideration also when you make those choices, but there's this responsibility to the self, and the choices you make will determine your experience in this incarnation. So there are no commandments. You give yourself your own commandments. There's no hierarchy in animism. There's no like an organized religion and you have to go, to worship at certain times and everything like that. In animism, there's no high priest or high priestess or anything like that. There are, of course, the people who experience things with the other realms, call them shamans, sorcerers, witches, healers, cunning folk, whatever you want to call them, that are able to interact with these other realms, but they don't put themselves above the community. They're there to act as a bridge between the two worlds and help and instruct and heal others. But they were never seen as above. And there's no hierarchy in animism. We also have a belief that Earth was not created just for humans. We are not the most important thing on this planet, and we are not the masters of Earth. This is all coming from Christianity, thinking that this was all made for us and we can do with it what we will. That's not our belief system. Since Christianity has come into being, we have become extremely destructive to Earth. And I think that is because of Christianity telling us that we can do whatever, that everything is we are the masters of this over animals and all that, and that we can treat the earth and animals however which way we want because we're it. And that's not the animist belief system. Before Christianity, we lived in harmony with nature. We didn't take more than we needed. And it really changed with actually like civilizations being built and organized religion. We do believe that certain times of the year and certain places, the veils are thinner. We don't have a wheel of the year. We don't have any organized like ceremonies and all that to these celebrations. It's up to you if you want to celebrate them or not. They were very important to the ancients because they relied on their food source, and so they really, paid attention to those times of the year. But there are, as you know, a different feeling when fall comes around and then winter, and it is a time to go in and reflect, and people do get, the seasonal affective disorder and all that, because you are going in and you're reflecting and all that. So there is something to that, but our ceremonies and rituals are more for internal work. And when we go out and work with nature, or when we want to work with our beings that we have relationships with, is when we do ritual and ceremony. A lot of it has to do with our own internal development, is our emphasis of when we do rituals and ceremonies. These beings that we work with, I know that they've been demonized, but they are really guardians of this earth and of humanity. And so you can have a relationship with them as a beneficial for each other, and there's a friendship there, and there's a working relationship. But I can tell you, they do not like ignorant humans that are destructive and disrespectful to other humans and the environment. And you can have some unpleasant experiences. If you happen to go to a place where it is like an opening or the veil's thinner, and you do ignorant things or whatever, you will have some unpleasant experiences. And that's why I don't share these portals and places. I think the veil's thinner on YouTube, because they're very sacred, and I don't want people going there unless they go in a sacred place, and treat it with respect. But if you do go in these places and you do something stupid, yeah, you can experience, and I think that's why some people have bad experiences, because they're guardians of these places. And they will manifest in certain ways depending on your character. So if you have bad experiences, it's because there's something in you that needs to shift and change. They have to be unpleasant or even scary to get you to make those changes. So I'll have to go into the way it works on another video. And another thing, this kind of comes with New Age, is that everything and every being that we see is a reflection of ourselves. And I think that's kind of insulting. Yes, sometimes if you have a dream or some experiences, you know, it could be that. But there are beings that are autonomous beings in their own right. They have their own life, they have their own job, and they are separate beings. And so, so don't think that everything is just, oh, it's just a reflection of myself. These are their own entities, their own beings. Part of animism too is there are selected individuals who become shamans, healers, sorcerers, witches, cunning folk, wise women, medicine people. There's so many terms for them, but this is going to piss some people off, but it's rare. So when you're like, there's a lot of people I see on the internet, you know, they're witches or whatever they are. But witch and a shaman and everything, you're pretty much selected, and you go through a death experience, and then you do travel. You leave your body, you go to these other dimensions. You have ally spirit beings that you work with. They're not your imagination. You actually leave your body and you go, and it's not done with drugs. You don't even go looking for this. Sometimes it just happens to you. And you have relationships with certain beings. And I'll go into that more because it gets really juicy. And it's just part of your life. And sometimes you never know when they're going to come for you. And then other times you can come up with techniques if you need to consult with them. But it's never just something that you're imagining in your head and imagine you're going, it's not that. I don't know what that is, but that's different. And I know a lot of people do that, thinking that they're in the other dimension, and it's not always the case. So you can practice animism, and a lot of people practice animism, but that doesn't mean you're a shaman. So there's like this, you know, it's, and you know, all these YouTubers I see calling themselves witches and everything, and I'm like, okay, whatever. But most of them are just practicing animism. And the things they're doing aren't really, I mean, it's fun to do like whatever they're thinking they're doing, magic or whatever. And I'm going to tell you the difference between what like magic is and like real shamanic sorcery and all that. There's a big difference between the two. So I'm going to go into that more. But most of these people, what they're doing is they're just practicing animism. So if they want to call themselves a witch, great. But they're really practicing animism, and I don't want to interrupt that at all. So I'm down with that. But truly in ancient times, only shamans and real witches and whatever, they went through a death initiation, and you leave your body, and you have spirit allies, and you have, it goes much deeper than just doing spells, I should say. And animism, we do believe that there's a life after death, and where you go depends on how you lived your life. So if you caused a lot of harm to other people, if you were greedy and narcissistic and treated others poorly, or you caused a lot of damage to the earth, you will have a different after death experience. So there is a debt to be paid when you live a life as an unkind human. And if you want to equate that to karma, it's the same concept. But you do have to pay a debt. And so it's not that you're being punished. It's just that you were immature human and that you need to do some reflection, and you will have to try again. So that's the belief system of Animus. We don't believe that there's ever some like ultimate goal or enlightenment. The universe is in constant state of growth. And so we're constantly recreating ourselves when you choose to evolve. And the universe is doing the same. So it never stops. And I know people want to get to that ultimate goal of, I am enlightened, and it doesn't happen. You're constantly in a state of evolution. Even when you leave this incarnation, and if you don't come back as a human, you will evolve as something else. And it's a constant state. You're never done for eternity. So I hope that helped explain what animism is. Again, like I said, we don't have a book that spells it all out for us. It's a very intuitive living in harmony with boundaries. You know how important boundaries are. And yeah, so I think I covered everything, and some of the points I'm going to go into deeper and explain it a little bit more. But I know a lot of people are like always asking, what exactly is animism? So I hope that helped you understand a little bit more, and I will see you on the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.